Last week at Lernerville, we saw some high-quality battles all the way through the field that left Dominic Roselli on top. Lernerville becomes a technical racetrack because of the berm on the top side and how flat the bottom is. But tonight, we're going to tax these drivers again with a venue that could be argued as the most technical on our calendar. We head into the home country of dirt-modified racing tonight for the Creative Turning 75. Welcome to the fifth race or 15th race rather, of the BRP iRacing Series 2023 to 2024 season from the virtual Weedsport Speedway. Joe Donahue and Jonathan Howe with you tonight as we continue counting down the championship for these drivers. Jonathan, this racetrack is very unique and very polarizing to the drivers who take it on. What is your experience like trying to navigate this place?
I find it tricky, but it's like it's a fun challenge, you know, Joe. Like I always felt like it's a little bit awkward. You can't really race it like a traditional racetrack, but you can find speed throughout it. Really, I mean, there's a lot of aspects to it that I think make it a fun track. I really like how we'll call it the last half of the lap. You can really kind of sweep the car from the center point of the backstretch on all the way until you get to the front stretch. And you can kind of see from this camera angle here that we've got up right now how those cars can kind of just stay pointed the whole time, which is I think creates a lot of speed.
I would agree with that. I definitely think that you can do a lot of really creative and unique things with this racetrack, and maintaining that speed that you're talking about, Jonathan, is one of the hardest things to do at times, and then also sometimes it's really not. I mean, a personal experience, this racetrack, in terms of dirt tracks, is one of the hardest but most satisfying for me. It is tricky to get right, but if you can get a good rhythm going and the track works into a state you're comfortable with, I really find it to be a great racing venue, and it gives these drivers an opportunity to show maybe a little bit of extra strength over some of their competitors. I think this is going to be a racetrack that shows us, in a way, maybe a little bit more than some of the more standard symmetrical racetracks we go to. It could show us who really does have the skill behind the wheel of these big blocks in iRacing.
Yeah, I think this is kind of one of those racetracks that if you figure it out, you really can make some time ahead of your competition, right? And I think it's going to be a track that changes a lot. I think through the night we're going to see some different, less cars right on the racetrack right now, but I still think you're going to see guys kind of explore the facility and go different spots throughout the event.
That definitely is something I'm expecting to see. So hopefully we can see that a bit tonight. The guys are working in the track right now, just trying to get it into a state where we're going to have some good racing out here. You're seeing there's Gavin Isley and Anthony Roselli. Roselli running a little bit of a new paint scheme tonight. He is in the same colors that we're used to seeing him driving, but a little bit different scheme for him. Here at the Creative Turning 75 from the virtual Weedsport Speedway, like we said, on BRPtv here tonight with the BRP iRacing Series. Got about 20 seconds before we head over into our 2 laps of qualifying for each of these cars. Going to give them 3 minutes to do so, and then probably only going to have 1 heat race tonight, and then the 75-lap feature for Creative Turnings. So Jonathan Howe, Joe Donahue, ready to take it to him and ready to show you the way as we get ready for the end of practice. Cody Higbee, the championship leader, going to be fastest at the end of it over Gavin Isley and Dominic Roselli. It's Anthony on the screen there. I almost got myself confused about the Roselli brothers, but as the clock turns down, easy to do, that's right. As the clock turns down, Jonathan, it is time for qualifying. Who do we want to watch and who are we looking out for tonight, my friend?
Well, I mean, the Rosellis have been bad fast. It feels like one or both of them have been on the pole every other sort of week. Cody Higbee, always a threat. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how exactly this plays out. I would say it's going to be a Roselli or it's going to be a Higbee on pole.
I think that's a pretty good bet. Only 8 drivers signed up for the race tonight, and that's 3 of them that you've named right there. So the odds are pretty good even when you don't account for the fact that those 3 drivers account for the last, 3 races in a row. And if you go back even further, we're talking 4 out of the last 5 out of the last 6, something like that. This is Matt DeRitter going around the racetrack. Dean Meitzler in the number 49 car has actually gone to the top, and as I say it, he gets beat out by one of those Rosellis that Jonathan was talking about. Dominic Roselli here in the number 80 car, sitting at the top currently, and DeRitter puts in his second lap time, goes a little bit better. One of the guys who's really kind of further down the order than we expect is Ryan Beagle right now, Jonathan. He's currently sitting 7th out of the 7 that have put their lap times in.
Yeah, it just hasn't had the pace lately that we're used to seeing from Beagle in the last little while. I'm not sure what's going on with him, and maybe practice time has been affected lately. Gavin Isley, another guy who he had a flash a couple weeks ago, showing some pace, showing some speed, but in the last little bit again, kind of just has fallen off just ever so slightly.
Yes, that is true, but keep in mind, Gavin Isley won when we came here earlier in the season. He also won at Eldora, which is a similar shaped racetrack, not the same, but similar. So this could be a night that Gavin Isley turns things around, and with his first timed lap up on the board, going second quick, he might be able to do a little bit better this time. We'll see if he can crack the pole, and the answer is no. He did not go faster on the second time around, so he will sit in second. So you were right, Jonathan. It was Dominic Roselli, though, who got the pole. Out of the three you took, you got one of them. So there you go, my man.
Well, I gave 3 guys. I feel like I'm kind of cheating a little bit, picking that many guys to try to do it. But looking forward to seeing what the Roselli brothers... It kind of feels like Dominic especially has really emerged as the main battle against Cody Higbee. He's got a lot of points to make up on Cody Higbee, and it's a pretty tall task. But the way he's been running, he's been bad, fast, and very consistent as of late.
Yes, he has been as the clock winds down. It's worth noting, so we've started accounting here at BRP for the drop week, the minimum number that comes out of their final points tallies for the year. And Dominic Roselli, he has raced in every event this season. Him, his brother Anthony, Gavin Isley, Ryan Beagle, and Cody Higbee. Those are the 5 that have been in every single race so far this season. And they have their drop points accounted for in my scoreboard, and Dominic Roselli is 80 points behind, so he's pretty far down there. It's not impossible, but it's very close to for Roselli to make a run back on Cody Higbee, but he is getting much closer every week to Ryan Beagle, so second place is still on the line for him. And as we get ready to start heat race number 1, we'll see if he can carry that forward. It's going to be Dominic Roselli and Gavin Isley on row number 1. Row number 2 is going to see Cody Higbee on the inside of Anthony Roselli. And then row 3, you'll see the 03 of Matt DeRitter to the inside of the number 49 of Dean Meitzler. And the final row on the grid is going to have Jeff Sharp on the inside in the 28 machine, and Ryan Beagle goes from 8th place. They're going to get the 1-to-go signal when they come back to the stripe this time. Jonathan, is going to be 8 laps for these guys, basically just to shake up their starting order for the feature event, which will follow immediately after a 5-minute warm-up session that we've got in between here. Who are you really going to watch for in this one? You got Dominic Roselli from the pole. You got Gavin Isley to his outside, right? But you've got Cody Higbee right there, and I wouldn't count Anthony Roselli out of it either.
Anthony Roselli, I think, is going to be the one who's going to be most bold trying to get the track position. Gavin Isley from the outside of the front row, we normally see him kind of down on the inside of the racetrack. Starting from the outside here at Weedsport, it could work his way on the restart. I feel like he's going to be the one to watch initially in this one.
Well, I can't disagree with that one. I am going to be watching for that number 97 car especially as well. And we'll have to see how it goes. So 8 laps, 8 drivers. Let's get it going. Heat race number 1 of 1 is underway. And, Dominic Roselli hit the inside wall there going through turn 1. That is not what he needed to start this one off.
No, it's not, Joe. And he's really kind of under fire here from Cody Higbee, who's not just trying to get past him, but also thinking about having to look to the lead. Couldn't make the move stick. Roselli's going to settle back into second behind Gavin Isley, who now gets away with about a 2-car advantage. Cody Higbee trying to track down that number 80 of Dominic Roselli, while Anthony Roselli lurks there in a brightly colored number 7 this time. No black panels on the side of it. It's an all-white race car with some pink and black detailing.
And he's got trouble to the inside in the form of Matt DeRitter, who slides through for 4th place. 4th place gets 1 single bonus point, 2 points for 3rd, 3 for 2nd, and 4 points to the winner of the heat race. And, whoa, look out, Anthony Roselli sideways, and we've got contact, and cars crashing in turn number 1. Unfortunately, that leaves Dean Meitzler up on the high side, pointing the right or the wrong direction. He'll get it facing the right way just in time, I think, to... Nah, he's actually just going to pull off and let him go. We stay green, pick up the leader again. Unfortunately, Dean Meitzler, that's going to do him in for the heat racing.
Yeah, a tough break for him to be involved like that, but, sometimes when you go around like that in the heat race, sometimes it's better to just take a second, collect your thoughts, and go back at it. Meanwhile, going back at it, Dominic Roselli taking the lead back from Gavin Isley. I'm surprised to see Isley up on the top side. He's really been committed to that outside, but it's not really working for him right now. I think maybe as we get later in a race, I think that might prevail for him, but as of right now, I think it is definitely the bottom is where you want to be.
Yeah, I do think there will be a point in the race where that top side works, but especially once it gets used up out there as well, it's going to go back to being a bottom dominant racetrack. So you got to use it up while you can. And I think Gavin Isley might just be a little bit ahead of that curve as the white flag's already come out. As the battle goes for second, it will not go for first. Dominic Roselli is going to win the heat race over Cody Higbee, Gavin Isley, and Matt DeRitter, scoring those points in the first of our only singular 1-of-1 heat race tonight. 5 minutes of warm-up coming to you. Jonathan, we're going to see if these guys go buzz in the track a little bit more. What would you want to see out of this warm-up session? Do you think we need to get the track worked in more for a good feature? Do you think it's right at a good spot? Like, what would you do to prep this track going forward for the rest of this evening?
See, I would want to try to move around. I would try to run some laps around the low side, try to run some laps around the high side, just use different lines to my advantage to see where my car works the best and see if I can't maybe work in some spots so that I don't have to work so hard come the race. These two that we're seeing on screen likely to be the ones that I think are going to be battling for the win, but I liked what I saw from Gavin Isley. I just hope that he can either have that outside come to him or maybe migrate off the high side and get to the low side and see if he can make something work.
Certainly could be a reasonable approach. Still, I'm going to be watching that outside. I'm just going to be what I'm just going to have to do. We got to make a shout out while we can here to Creative Turnings. This is the Creative Turnings 75 after all, a formidable longtime partner of the BRP iRacing series. They're based out of Waterford, Connecticut, with Creative Turnings offering wood and acrylic household items such as pens, bowls, candlesticks, charcuterie boards, and much more. Custom homemade products, great for gift giving and home decor. Head over to their Facebook site. You can just search Creative Turnings up on Facebook to find out more and see what's going on over there with the Koreas. I know we've had them around for a long time, but we very strongly appreciate that we still have Creative Turnings rolling along with the BRP iRacing series. Even as we've moved on to BRPtv here, I see got a handful of people watching along, rooting for their favorite drivers. Thank you all for being here with us tonight. It is a windy, cold evening down in Pennsylvania, so it's nice to be inside. And Jonathan, if it's cold here, I'm sure it's even worse up there for you.
You know, it was a little bit better today. We did have snow yesterday in Southern Ontario, but all of us around Southern Ontario pretty warmed up by the show that we had up here, Motorama, the Motorsports Expo and car show that happens in Toronto. And myself and Travis Cunningham were doing a live podcast at the show this year. That was a lot of fun, and we're going to be able to share that episode with you later this week, I do believe. We're going to be able to put it out then. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to just all things motorsport really kicking off here sooner rather than later. And, of course, we'll have a new episode of the podcast, probably recapping some of the local stuff as well before we get there. But it's gonna be good. I'm so ready for racing season around these parts, and I don't know, Joe. I'm wishing the weather away. I don't need any more snow, but maybe we'll get one more snowfall and then we can get on with it.
Well, I like the snow, but I will say we've started getting a little bit warmer. We've had our days around here that have been a little bit better, and it has been very well received. I don't get seasonal depression, but I definitely am happy that the heat's coming back. I won't be happy about it when it's 95 degrees and humid, but at least for the little bit of time we get some nice weather here in springtime, I will be very happy to go back outside and go to my local dirt tracks. We've already started racing around here, but it's been cold, and this weekend completely washed out. So yeah, we're getting back to it. Jonathan. It's all good.
Yep, almost there. It's like I'm just waiting to scratch that itch, you know. You see all the race cars indoors at the show this past weekend. You see all the you see all the programs, all the racing schedules that are coming out around the province and stateside. A lot of stuff already underway for you guys, which is nice. But I'm just ready for some Northeast fun and some Southern Ontario fun in the sun. Oddly enough, soon enough. So, but yeah, Joe, I think this race is going to be interesting. I think now I'm watching Cody Higbee kind of buzz the top. I'm watching a couple of guys, especially on entry, really use the top side of the racetrack. It's looking like it's got some wear. Looking like it's got something worked in just a little bit. So I'm getting more and more optimistic that this is going to be a wide racetrack for these guys.
I am too. I think one of the things I'm thinking about, though, when I'm watching this is I'm curious and I'm nervous if these guys are working the racetrack up top, if they're working it in too much, because there's only so much out there, and I just know that when we get to the race, once the top goes away, I mean, and not even goes away, but once we start slicked off more, once we really work into it, it's going to go back to being bottom. So I'm hoping that we have a little bit of life left in there as we continue through the 75 laps of this feature that we are about to get started. But in the meantime, as the field will line up on the front stretch and we will prepare to set them loose, why don't we introduce you to your starting lineup. Going from the pole, representing Monticello, New York in the Van Sickle Electric 5L Enterprises number 80 is Dominic Roselli. To his outside, also representing New York in the Iceless Handsome Devil Catering and Barbecue number 97 is Cody Higbee, your championship leader. Starting from third place on the grid out of New York as well. They're sweeping this one. Performance Automotive and Showtime Custom Wraps on the side of number 18. They call him the Gas Man. We call him the Catfish. It's Gavin Isley. Rolling from fourth place, driving the 03 Murder Graphics Beef Esports MDR Designs machine out of Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. That's Matt DeRitter. And from fifth place, they call him the Big Dog in car number 84. The Auckland Insurance APC Auto Parts ride goes to Ryan Beagle. Sixth place on the grid in the 28 machine out of New York, Jeff Sharp. MDR Designs, Bowers Auto Body, and Scotty Designs on the side for him. Anthony Roselli, driver of the number 7, will go from 7th place. They call him the Ice Chip. The House of Speed Van Sickle Electric Ride goes from the last row alongside the number 49, Pennsylvanian, driving in the RockAuto.com Icon Performance Dirt Defender machine. White, black, and blue with the blue rims. Dean Meisler goes from 8th on the grid. 75 laps to go through for the creative turning. 75 from the virtual Weedsport Speedway. Jonathan Howe, Joe Donahue here with you. Jonathan, I'll hand it to you. You're going to have to see what kind of call you get from Dominic Roselli and Cody Higbee as we come to the green flag.
Let's see how this plays out. The last restart, I was going to comment, it was a little bit rocky. That one a little bit better. Gavin Isley really wanted to get going there, Joe, as he thought about making a move to the inside. Still thought about taking a run off the corner, but had to jump on the binders, and instead he'll settle into line, try to make the move on Cody Higbee for the second spot. But an opening lap looks like it's going to go to Dominic Roselli.
Dominic Roselli slides all the way up to the racetrack. He has to block that run that Cody Higbee started putting together there, as he will lead the first lap, but he's got plenty of company from Cody Higbee up top and Gavin Isley right behind him. Matt DeRitter still holding on to fourth place, just barely over Ryan Beagle, the Big Dog, looking to the outside now. And there's the outside for Cody Higbee, and he's going to put his nose out front. Let's see if he can hold on to it, Jonathan, as they go through 3 and 4.
I noticed the drivers really pushing it up against the fence almost in turn number 1, and you saw Cody Higbee go to that extreme outside. And that was where, contact. Hold on to it, and Higbee is able to save it. Good save from him, but that's going to cost him 3 spots as Brian Beagle has already gotten by. Gavin Isley down on the inside. Looked like he almost clipped the inside barrier there. And Higbee back into 4th. He'll go back on the charge here and see if he can't run down Dominic Roselli after those two come together and almost cause a caution.
I don't think that was purposeful from Dominic Roselli at all, but hopefully it's not too hard of a... the feelings aren't too hard from Cody Higbee. This should be fine and we'll be okay to keep going. Ryan Beagle and Gavin Isley sort of putting up a blockade for Dominic Roselli right now, that even if Cody Higbee was a little bit upset, he can't do anything about it because he's got 2 cars in between him right now. And they're dominating the top and bottom lines, which is not allowing Cody to do anything. He's really just got to ride behind these guys right now, Jonathan, and wait for something to change and something to happen.
Yeah, Gavin Isley, I've kind of thought now that he's working the inside that he'd be able to really advance far forward. But the real thing that I'm seeing is out of turn 4, the bottom side just doesn't seem to get any kind of run. You can see through the corner, he's kind of pointed it up the middle of the racetrack. A little bit, it almost seems like this place is a little bit bumpy down there, but it might just be the cars bouncing around a little bit, little bit of rebound in the springs with the setup that was put out with this racetrack. But you can watch again here. It just seems like that last little arc that Isley's got to do, and now Higbee behind him, that really kills all of your run, because you can't just let the car wash out to the outside, because you've got somebody out there, and you got to make sure that wheels turn just ever so much more slightly compared to your competition. See there, he was able to drift up, Joe, but he kind of drives right into line with Dominic Roselli there. It's a weird line trying to make that bottom work here at Weedsport.
Yeah, and it's going to get especially weird once it slicks off a little bit more, because you see people get really creative about going down low in turn one. They'll slide up into the middle like Dominic Roselli's doing, and then try to either diamond or stay up top. Roselli stays up top down the backstretch this time. Gavin Isley, for a moment, looked like he could put a nose in there, but it doesn't look like that stuck around very long. 13 laps into this race, Dominic Roselli's led most of the way so far. Cody Higbee gave him a little bit of a challenge, but after some contact, he resides in 4th place. Check in behind those guys as we've been watching Isley, Beagle, and Higbee race with D. Rose up front. Matt DeRitter's holding on to the final spot in the top 5 right now, losing a little bit of time to these guys. Anthony Roselli in 6th place might make a battle out of that one. And Jeff Sharp, 7th place right here. Dean Meitzler in 8th. They're riding behind all this. They're probably going to try to wait and see if they get a yellow opportunity to make a little bit of that time back up. But meanwhile, a little race going on up here for 2nd place still, with Isley on the inside and Beagle on the outside.
Good battle here. I really like what Ryan Beagle's been able to do since the drop of the green flag, moving forward. And he might creep into this picture for the lead if he can just get clear of Gavin Isley. Right now, hasn't been able to do it. Isley does such a good job charging down the back straightaway and getting a great run from the bottom side through 1 and 2, but I feel like on the front stretch, that's where he gives it up.
I think so. I think so. Now, it's hard to say, because really these guys are so even most of the way around the racetrack, but there it goes. Yep, that's all Beagle.
It's just so hard to get the power down coming out of that front stretch, especially with somebody on your outside, because you can't let the car wash up, which is probably the natural reaction that most of these guys would feel down there. You can see again, Isley's going to drift up there because he's got the room, and maybe gets a little bit of a better run into the corner because of that. But now we'll see if he can stay to the inside. Watch how much he's got to keep the car arced and pointed forward and straight down the line. Can't let the car drift up the same way. There he does, but it kind of limited his run down the front stretch, and that's why Beagle was nose ahead heading into that corner. It almost looked like Beegs might have grabbed a bit of the wall there in 1 and 2.
Yeah, Beagle gave up a little bit there. Something happened that put Isley back in contention. They definitely are not losing Dominic Roselli either. Catching and staying with him is one thing, and passing is another. That will be a challenge. However, Dominic is not that. I mean, he's not necessarily faster than them. Their best laps are within 3 thousandths of a second. Oh, 300ths, excuse me. Not that close. 300ths of a second, which is still pretty impressive.
It's a good run right now for Dominic Roselli at the front of this race. He's doing a good job managing the field, which is kind of what we saw from him last week. If you give this guy track position and don't get to his back bumper, he kind of can manage a race really, really well, Joe. Really protective line here. He enters low, lets the car slide up the racetrack, kind of points it down the hill, gets a little bit of a run. You can see Beagle's closing on him, but where is Beagle going to go? Again, he seems to be right in that line that Beagle wants to run. So unless Beagle can change things up on him, maybe get to his outside in corner number 1 somehow, that's about the only way I think Beagle's going to be able to mount a challenge. He's going to try it down into 3 and 4. Looked like he was going to maybe take a dive to the inside, but couldn't make it stick. Now he'll do so, and can't stay alongside.
No, it's not quite working for Beagle. We've got ourselves a battle for third, though. Cody Higbee to the outside of Gavin Isley. Down the backstretch again. Higbee goes committed to the top. Isley's still staying catfish down low. I feel bad for Gavin Isley because it seems like he just stays places that he probably shouldn't. The top gets dominant here, and Higbee has gotten an opportunity, and it's just odd. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Kind of odd the way that Isley's just committed so strongly to these lines where he's got people passing him. I mean, Cody Higbee is within a second of being in front. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, it's just strange to me that Isley hasn't been able to explore, because again, we saw him up on the high side in the heat race, but he's been committed to this bottom lane, and he's about the only one. Beagle gets a great run. It almost looks like Beagle might have a better line through 3 and 4 compared to what Isley's been doing. If I'm Isley, I'm trying to watch that Ackland insurance car ahead of me and see if I can figure out whatever Beagle's doing. I think it's the turn down here, Joe. You can see he turns down, and because he's not arced the whole way around on the bottom side trying to hold it down underneath somebody, Beagle can kind of use that top side to generate some momentum, and that allows him to kind of take a lunge at Dominic Roselli, and he hasn't been able to quite put the move together yet to make it stick, but it looks like it's a more productive line than what Gavin Isley's been trying to do.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Ryan Beagle actually, for a split second, was leading this race, and he got passed back by D. Rose before they got to the line. This is what happened, and it doesn't happen again. So, and I've got a nice little battle going on here, though. Ryan Beagle has not given up yet on this 80 car, and maybe a little bit different this time, but Dominic Roselli should get an opportunity to cut in, and he stays up top. He stays in the lead nonetheless.
It's just perfect blocking and just really, if you have your run, Joe, and you have your lane, you can kind of just stay in that spot and make somebody have to work their way around you. And Beagle really tried. He did some great work, got by him, like you said, but again, passing somebody is one thing, and then being out there and being the rabbit, being the one chased, it can be tricky, and especially with how, this move that the 80 car has where he's kind of just perfectly blocking the outside, keeping it the bottom lane open, but if you're not alongside, there's no way to get there without contact, really. Like, you could maybe sail it in if you're Beagle, but I just don't see how you could keep the car pinched down enough underneath Roselli with enough speed that you wouldn't just lose all your momentum.
Yeah, that's a big thing about this racetrack, is the pinch and losing the momentum. And that's what I really like about diamonding the corners. We're officially halfway into this race now. You don't necessarily get pinched because you can carry the momentum. When you go down low, ideally what you can do is work all the way up to the top of the track like Dominic Roselli just did on the screen and use that as a way to gain back your momentum. And then the opposite of that, being pinched, is having a car on the outside that you can't go the whole way up the racetrack. So it slows down how much momentum you can get out of the corner. And that's a strategy that we see drivers use a lot of the time to stay in front of their competitors. And right now, that diamonding line is kind of enabling these guys to avoid that, but also get down low quicker. And that's what Ryan Beagle's trying to do. But like I said, trying, and he's not quite there yet. He's staying within touch, but he hasn't quite perfected the move, Jonathan.
Now I think it's kind of weird that Dominic's gone to the inside here. This might present Beagle an opportunity. A good block there at a corner number 4. But I'm looking, and maybe if I just can't get the car rotated on entry enough to stay with Roselli. Looks like the top side maybe going away a little bit here. Beagle's, right into the wall there. And that's actually going to open the door for, here comes Cody Higbee, almost taking away that second spot after Beagle's mistake up on the high side. Beagle still committing to the outside. Oh, he did it again. Bounced it into the wall, and Cody Higbee is through. I think this racetrack is changing in a big way for those guys that were running the top side.
Yeah, Ryan Beagle looks like he might be losing the grip on it a little bit right now. The rhythm he's had through turns 1 and 2, he got it back this time, but he lost it just enough to put Cody Higbee back into second place. Now remember, Cody Higbee took the lead of this event from Dominic Roselli early on, and a little bit of contact sent him sideways, fortunately not into the infield, but back to 4th place, and it has taken him up to this point now with 30 laps to go at the stripe to get back into second, and the only car left in front of him is the car he made contact with, Dominic Roselli. We'll have to wait and see what happens between these two. Whoa, I was scared Ryan Beagle was about to do the same here into turn number 1. He brought a ton of momentum in there, Jonathan.
I'm watching this battle at the front, and I don't see Cody Higbee really making a lot of inroads towards Dominic Roselli. He's running a little bit lower. It looks like the car's handling a little bit better, but I don't see where he's going to be able to get past Roselli with how he's running right now. I would want to see a little bit more speed out of that 97 before I figure out that he is completely, or that he is the true threat here. But he is eating into that lead ever so slightly, Joe.
Very slightly. And this is where, if this was a Ryan Beagle story, which, I mean, he's right there. You can see the 84 car. Ryan Beagle likes to wait and then make a move at the end. And holy cow, did Cody Higbee hit the wall there. Gosh.
Yeah, that was a big moment.
That was a bit much. But this is a situation that Ryan Beagle would probably be conservative and take his time with. I think Higbee could do the same. And if he does the same, he'd be in a good position. We've talked a lot about Dominic Roselli conserving race cars throughout this season, and he's gotten much better at it. But you always kind of wonder a little bit: is he going to have enough car left at the end of the race to hold these guys off?
Gotta take care of it. You gotta manage your pace. You gotta manage your stuff. We've seen how important that is throughout this year. There's been times where we've thought dominant drivers were going to run away with things, and then they start to give it up. And I think right now I don't think Roselli's pushing so hard that he's costing himself. I think we saw that maybe at the maybe a quarter of the way into this race, a third of the way into the race, where you saw him maybe tap the wall a couple times, and that kind of dragged him back. Right now, though, he is running a really conservative line, staying away from those walls. Sliding up the racetrack ever so slightly, but he's not really in danger of hitting the wall. And you can see Cody Higbee, who had that big moment just a few laps ago. Now he's kind of fallen back into the clutches of Ryan Beagle. We've seen Beagle have some moments where he scrapes the wall, and he's back up trying to challenge on the outside, making some hay up there, but Gavin Isley not going away either. So this battle from second on back, really heating up, and it kind of doesn't seem like the podium is set by any sort of means right now.
I would not stretch that. I agree with that statement 100%. Right now we're coming up to 20 laps to go in this race. Dominic Roselli is your leader in the number 80 car over Cody Higbee in second place. Third place for the moment is Ryan Beagle in the red number 84, and then Gavin Isley behind him in fourth place, won the race we had here earlier this season. Anthony Roselli holding on to fifth place at the moment in the new paint number 7. Matt DeRitter is in sixth place with the 03 machine. He is not having the best of days, but still holding on okay. Jeff Sharp is in seventh place in the 28 machine, kind of riding on his own back here. And Dean Meitzler rounds out the grid in eighth place, staying within sight of the 28 car and the 03. But these guys are kind of just logging laps right now. No, not any competition between them for the moment. Nothing like what we're seeing between the group up front. Well, as I say it, they're actually getting a little bit further apart. Ryan Beagle gets a piece of the inside wall, and we are closing in on 15 laps to go, Jonathan.
Yeah, this race really going by quick. I mean, Dominic Roselli running a great pace at the front of the field, and you can see Cody Higbee has broken away a little bit from that battle from second on back, and now it's Roselli who really, I don't think, unless he makes a major mistake, he's got to worry too much. Higbee is, again, he's there, but the line that Roselli is running is just allowing him to carry down the front stretch, down the back stretch so well that he's not really worried about coming under threat going into the corner. And I think into the corner is where you're going to have to strike to make the pass.
Yes, I would agree with that. Especially turn 1, you can do that. I think turn 3, you can get a line together, but I'm thinking turn 1's the place to do it. So that would be where I would expect it if Cody Higbee could stay in touch, but he's about 0.7 of a second back. Now, that was a very interesting line to stay absolutely as far low as he could out of turn number 4. Just didn't seem like it worked, and he actually looked like he missed the bottom there in turns 1 and 2. So not quite what he needed out of that one. The lap times right now, Cody Higbee just slightly faster than Dominic Roselli. And actually that time around he was not. He was slower, about 0.2 slower, even slower than Ryan Beagle last time by. So definitely not a good lap for Cody. And it's not really getting much closer. We're going to have 10 laps to go the next time past the stripe in this creative turning 75. And it's been Dominic Roselli pretty much the whole way.
all Dominic Roselli at the front. It's kind of starting to be a little bit of a moment here where Cody Higby's got to start getting aggressive, and it looks like he might be inching in again, Joe, but I don't really see the gap shrinking in a significant way. Like, there's a little bit of time and space being made up, but I don't think it's anything that we have to worry about, or if I'm Dominic Roselli, I'm worried about too much as of right now. It's just the lead is stabilized at that 0.7 of a second. Higby's got to start maybe throwing a Hail Mary, or thinking of something. There it is. And, I mentioned I mentioned saying you got to have a Hail Mary throw here. You can easily make a mistake doing that, and that's going to cost Cody Higby. I think, we saw him lose about 1/10 of a second that last lap. I think he's going to lose even more this lap because of that mistake from the last one.
I would agree with that. And I'm starting to think he's just kind of out of range in general. I think we might be a little bit past the point where the haymaker's even going to work. He's too far back. He's almost a second behind. There's a battle going on there for third place. Just taking a quick on board here. Why don't we go on board with 7th place Jeff Sharp really quick, just to check out the racetrack as we come through one here. You can see how much slicker it is than when we started the evening off. We're still within sight of Matt DeRitter down the backstretch, which is hardly a straightaway. It really isn't a straightaway. It's pretty much curved the whole way. And then through 3 and 4, that little diamond shape, that's Jeff Sharp that we were on board with from 7th place. There's a battle going on for third as 5 laps become 4 laps to go. For your leader, it's Isley and Beagle for the final step on the podium.
Final step coming down to the wire here. Good move from Beagle on the outside there. I thought like he was going to be able to carry the speed a little bit better down the backstretch, but Gavin Isley's doing a great job. Maybe that bottom side finally coming to him a little bit, maybe a little bit too late in this race, but you can see Beagle still committed to that outside. And honestly, we've seen Beagle slip up and make some mistakes. So if I'm Gavin Isley, I'm not changing things now. I'm just going to see if I can maybe force Beagle into making a mistake and see if I can't slip onto the podium.
Every time they come through the corners, it's making me think there's a caution because they just have their revs down so low when they're hitting these corners. And it's making me... I
was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I keep getting nervous that we're going to have a yellow, but that we actually have the white flag out for Dominic Roselli, and with no competition from behind him from the 97 car, he's going to come through 3 and 4 for the final time. And Dominic Roselli, in a class fashion, has won the Creative Turning 75 over Cody Higby, and Ryan Beagle's going to pull off that final podium step. Number 80 car, just a dominant performance, stellar run for Dominic, and he is going to be very elated with his 3rd win of the season.
Green to checker finish there. Green to checker run, I should say, to the finish. And Dominic Roselli with this is back-to-back, I believe, now for the 80 car as well. So, you know what? I just almost wish we could have seen him catch a little bit of fire early in the season, because the momentum is definitely on his side right now. But with Cody Higby coming home second, it's going to be hard to eat into any kind of points advantage in a big way like that.
I would agree with that for sure. Well, great stuff from him and from the rest of the field. I think we're actually, Jonathan, just going to go straight into our final results, because I do not see our drivers they're coming in. Well, we'll see if we get the Rosellis in here. I can see Cody Higby jumped in, and I guess if we'll give him a second here, we usually do the top 3, but we've only got Cody Higby for the moment. Jonathan, why don't you go ahead and talk to our 2nd place finisher tonight?
Got Cody Higby in the studio. Cody, congrats on the 2nd place run. Talk to us about the drive here tonight.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a tricky race. Weedsport's always pretty tricky. So, I pretty much ran 75 laps around the bottom, so I'm pretty proud of myself that I didn't hit the inside wall or anything. But, I would hit it a couple times off of 4, and it would hurt me a little bit, but I never really hit it enough to, flip the car or anything. So I'm proud of myself for that, because this place is pretty technical.
Yeah, it's definitely a track that we saw challenge you guys in a lot of different ways. Just talk to us about, how hard it is to, it kind of looked like at points in the race you were able to maybe keep pace with Dom. Maybe you were able to catch the 80 Roselli car, but you couldn't quite make the pass. And just talk to us about how difficult, catching a guy is, and then making the pass here at Weedsport.
Yeah, definitely. I fell back the fourth there early and just kind of used my stuff up, I think, trying to get back up to the front. Gavin and Ryan, they're really good racers, and they were running side by side for a while. And then, it was really tough to pass Gavin because he's really good on the bottom here. And, Beagle, too. Beagle runs really clean, really smooth. So it was tricky enough to pass them and then to try to catch Dom. I think all my stuff was just used up at that point. But, yeah, it was a great race. As soon as I got in second there, I knew I had to run clean laps. And really, I just tried to stay consistent around the bottom. I know the bottom usually makes speed here, and the top had gone away. That's how I got Beagle. So, yeah, it was pretty fun. Congrats to Dom. Like I said, this place is really tricky. So, to run 75 clean laps, and it was pretty awesome.
Well, congratulations again, and can't wait to see you continue this championship chase.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for putting this on. I look forward to it every week. So, yeah, we'll go on to my favorite racetrack next week, Lanier. So I'm pretty pumped about that. Usually that place is really slick from the bottom to the top, but you can kind of move all around it all night. So I'm really pumped to go there next week, and we'll see what we got.
Edna Cody Higby's favorite racetrack. That sounds like a warning to the rest of the field. There he is. The driver of the number 97 Iceless machine, Cody Higby, bringing it home P2 at Weedsport.
You stole the words out of my mouth, Jonathan. I really, thing you don't want to hear is somebody like Cody Higby saying he's coming to his favorite racetrack. Those are words that I'm sure this guy might not want to hear, but he didn't hear them yet, and maybe he won't. But Dominic Roselli jumping into the booth with us now. We've got the winner from tonight's show, led 73 of the 75 laps. Dominic, you only had a little bit of a challenge occasionally, but man, you had this track figured out tonight.
Yeah, I like it. We were here beginning of the year. I ran pretty good there. Just Gavin was a lot better a lot early, and I thought it was going to be the same thing, but kind of got into Cody a little bit there, and he fell back, and then I got to the lead, but I never felt like I was safe that entire race. I mean, especially when you got Ryan, Cody, and Gavin breathing down your throat like that. I think Ryan came blistering on the top, and I thought I was done for there.
Well, that was kind of the name of the racetrack there. When it slicked off, it became a search and destroy kind of event. We were playing Battleship out there, but I mean, how do you stay on top of the racetrack when it starts getting slick here? Because you start having people move up, move down, move around, middle of the corner, top of the corner. It's just everywhere and anywhere all at the same time.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. And me and Ryan were actually talking, and we think almost something changed in the update, like the slick got even slicker. So it was almost like a search for the brown, and it's a little bit more realistic in that sense that you're not just riding through the slick and keeping your momentum up. Like, you actually had to search for brown, and that's kind of what I found in 3 and 4. Like, I'd slide through the middle and catch the brown coming off, and it would kind of like launch me. So it's just a matter of just searching around, trying to find something that would just give you that little bit of edge on everybody.
Well, it definitely seemed to work for you. You got yourself 2 wins in a row and 3 on the season. It's putting together a little bit of a championship run here. You're gonna have to really fight to catch back up with Cody Higby for how well he started this season off, but looking okay for maybe getting second in the championship.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Like I said, I mean, 6 car counts are down a little bit, but I mean the core 5, 6 of us that are really good have been out every week, and it still is just as hard as it was to win this week as it was on week 1 or week 2. Makes it really fun.
That's what we like to hear. Congratulations, Dominic. Win 2 back-to-back, I should say, and we'll be looking forward to seeing what comes from that 80 car when we get racing again next week.
Thank you, guys. Thank you guys again for all you do. You guys do a great job.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And that is your winner tonight, Mr. Dominic Roselli. And why don't we go ahead and pull in Ryan Beagle? You want to go for it, Jonathan, or you want me to take the microphone over here and run myself?
I'll talk to Mr. Beagle.
That's beautiful. A beautiful thing from Mr. Howe. Let's go.
There's the big dog, Ryan Beagle, joining us now after a hard-fought third-place finish.
How are you?
Not too bad, buddy. Not too bad. I mean, talk to us about the drive here. Seemed like you really had to work out there. There was a couple times where it seemed like, you could maybe be the one to get up there and challenge and take the win. And then, you had to fight and changing track and competition. Just talk to us about the drive.
Yeah, I felt really good there early. I think we were a little faster than Dom, but I think I used my stuff up too early, and then I hit the wall 3 times in a lap and kind of broke my train of thought, and I couldn't really do anything after that. Track changed, and my line wasn't any good anymore, and those guys just drove off into the sunset.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tricky. It seemed like this was the kind of racetrack and the kind of race where one bad lap kind of sets you back for maybe 2, 3, 4, even 5 laps. You kind of almost had to take that much time to make up for any kind of mistake. So just talk to us about how it felt like the track changed. Obviously, you mentioned using up your stuff, but it seemed like it was a high line racetrack for half the race. Then the low line kind of worked, but you made it work mostly around the top for the whole event.
Yeah, it's just where I felt most comfortable. I tried the bottom a few laps. I couldn't do that. I think iRacing changed something with the way the track works. And I think the slick was a little slicker, so that's why you seen the line move around so much. But no, it was fun trying to chase it. I just couldn't chase it like those guys.
Well, you were chasing them down pretty well, I would say, for the most part, and got yourself on the podium. So who do you got to thank for a great job tonight?
Just everybody puts this on. Sucks we not getting two more than 8 cars, but it is what it is. We'll be here again next week.
Awesome. Appreciate the commitment, buddy, and congratulations on being on the podium once again.
Thanks.
There he is, the big dog, Ryan Beagle in the RK Automotive Ackland Insurance Ride, representing for us folks here in Southern Ontario with a 3rd place run tonight, Joe.
Yeah, he did do a pretty good job of representing up there because we had a lot of New Yorkers going for it, and deservingly so on their home soil. Dominic Roselli able to bring it home, but we got a lot of Canadian influence in this series, so we want to make sure they get their part in the matter as well. Final results for tonight's race on the screen right now. Dominic Roselli, your winner over Cody Higbee and Ryan Beagle. Then we've got Gavin Isley coming home 4th. Anthony Roselli finished out that top 5. Matt DeRitter, 6th place for him. 7th place for Jeff Sharp, and Dean Meitzler rounds out the 8 of 8 for the Creative Turning 75 tonight. It's been a pretty good race, I'll say. We went the whole way through it without a single yellow flag. We did have Dean Meitzler backwards in the heat race, but no yellows. At the end of it, it's a pretty tricky racetrack, so that's worth saying something, Jonathan.
Yeah, it was a track that changed throughout the evening. It was a track that constantly kind of changed and challenged these guys throughout the whole night between practice and warm-ups and qualifying, heat racing. And then by the time we got to the end, it kind of seemed like it was a different track from the one we started on. So I'm optimistic that we can get a few more numbers going in this series, which would be kind of back to normal. I know there's kind of some events happening tonight that took away some of the drivers that are more local my end, and let's see if that changes going forward. But Joe, overall, I just really am impressed with Dominic Roselli and what he's been able to put together in the last couple of weeks. It really seems like he is, it's Cody Higbee jumped out to such an early advantage in the points, but what Dom has been able to do in the last, 5-6 races, you can't help but be impressed with how that 80 car is running.
Absolutely, I agree with that. He's really put together a great effort over the last couple of weeks. And it was really cool to watch him just consistently get better and better at the beginning of this season, and now he is a heavy-hitting, race-winning contender in this series, which we love to see coming out of that car. So that's the end of the Creative Turnings 75. Once again, be sure to go check out Creative Turnings on Facebook and talk to Dan about what he's got going on over there. We appreciate all of the love and support from MDR Designs, Murder Graphics, the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, and 47 Technology, alongside of BRPtv. If you guys remember to like and subscribe, hit the bell icon notification. It tells you when we go live with these races. And next week, we will go live with 100 laps at Lanier. No, excuse me, not Lernerville. We've already gone there twice. So thank you all for tuning in, being part of this series. We appreciate your viewership. A pleasant adieu until we meet again.